To the wafting theme of Perry Mason, a long-forgotten television lawyer. David Whiting, our very current talkback lawyer, is here to help you with free legal advice. 1300 222 774, 1300 222 774, if you would like to get some free legal advice from David Whiting. And David, good morning to you.
Good morning, John.
Any legal news for us before we get started with today's call?
Well, you spoke to the Premier this morning about voluntary assisted dying.
Yes.
I've started to read the report, but it's pretty big, John. It's 265 pages.
There is a summary.
Yeah, and it's an extraordinarily able panel.
Yes.
So we'll see what the legislation brings.
Chaired by Professor Brian Auer, former head of the AMA, and ably assisted by, amongst others, Julian Gardner, who used to be the public advocate, and before that, director of legal aid.
And he was, and then there was also a director of nursing from Swinburne, and a professor of palliative care at Flinders University.
Yeah. And they've come up with, well, we'll see whether or not it's something that's acceptable or not, but they say, and the Premier, it's quite funny coming from a Premier who boasts his credentials as a reforming progressive Premier. He proudly says this is the most conservative format for dying with dignity anywhere in the world. So he's trying to reassure people at the same time.
Progressive, but not too progressive.
Yeah, exactly. It's conservative progressive.
And John, last week they produced a national profile of the legal profession done by the Law Society of New South Wales. Interesting statistics.
A national profile?
Yes, so the answer is tell us what you can about lawyers as in a statistical model. And
like a snapshot?
Yeah, snapshot. So in October last year there were 71,500 lawyers, of whom...
How many of those are practising?
No, they're people with practising certificates around Australia.
70,000?
Yeah, it's interesting, John. It's gone up 24% in the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's kind of what they're pumping out graduates. Whether there's jobs for them is another thing.
So and 50.1% of them are female.
Yes.
So that's the first time that's happened. What's interesting though is that the profession of people who practice law in private practice is increasing at a slower rate than corporate/government jobs.
Yes.
So lots of organisations are in fact bringing their legal services in-house, and government is of course an increasing employer. So, it's not... In the last 5 years we've gone from 75% in the private profession to 69%.
And that'll continue that trend, don't you think?
Absolutely, yes.
And for reasons as much as anything to do with cost and value.
Yeah, and it was also in a sense, we're trying to take, or the system is trying to take stuff out of lawyers.
Well, they've worked out whether you're doing construction contracts or leases or whatever it might be, or employment stuff.
Yes.
Employment contracts, a lot of it's repetitious and the same, and you don't have to pay city top drawer rates for stuff that can be done in-house at a fraction of the cost.
Yes. Yeah. Or you pay someone a great deal of money for the template and you fill it out.
Yeah. And then when you really do need something that's a one-off or a problem that you can't deal with, well, you can still go and tap into the experts up the street if you need them.
I thought the interesting stats were 24% increase in 5 years and 50.1% are female. So,
okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Sad to note the passing of Victoria's only published poet judge.
Oh.
Peter Gebhardt very much broke the kind of standard mould of people who become judges
and disappear
in Victoria. He graduated from law but then went and worked in the private school system very successfully, first as a teacher and then as a headmaster, but then went back when he retired from headmastering, went back in, I think he was in his 50s when he went back to the law and became eventually a county court judge and was a published poet of some note, whilst also still working as a judge, and very much a quirky and very charming individual. Okay. Who I'm sure will be much missed amongst the ranks of those who knew him and worked with him. So we salute you, Peter Gebhardt. People complain judges are, boring and
quite often
dull.
They disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever public persona or profile they had before they went to the bench, it just goes.
They shrink like a turtle. They go into their shell.
There's a website for barristers in Victoria called vicbar.com.au. After their appointment, they disappear from the sites. So.
Yeah, but it's also the view that once you're a judge, you shouldn't do anything that might attract attention, which I think is complete nonsense personally. I had a furious argument with a young lawyer at a function on Friday night who was arguing passionately in favour of wigs and gowns, and I was astonished that someone in their mid-20s, new to the profession, could be enthusiastic for one of the things that at last is being got rid of.
Well, gowns are there, but wigs are...
Oh, he wanted
yeah.
wigs. He wanted the whole box and dice. And he
Clearly
said,
never worn one. They're not the least bit comfortable.
no, he was saying, this is what makes me know that I'm doing something special because I wear a wig. And I was going, no, you're doing something special because you're looking after somebody's life.
Sort of like a Superman suit, is that the thing?
And he, we didn't quite raise our voices, but I was astonished.
You're doing something special when you're doing something right for the client.
Exactly. And he said, oh, no, you've got to show your authority. And I was going, what century are we in? Anyway, there you go. Shall we get to callers?
We shall.
1300 222 774. But Darren from Cremorne, which is an upmarket description for a patch of Richmond when I last checked. Darren, good morning to you.
Good morning, John.
And he's near the freeway. You all right?
I am
Hello,
indeed.
Darren. Yes.
Okay, David. Okay, a couple of years ago I bought a project boat. It's located in a harbour just outside of Melbourne.
Yes.
Without naming anything, the harbour or anything, the harbour people have had an issue with the wooden boat builder. They've gone off to VCAT and fought and won and lost and so forth.
What have they fought over, Darren?
Look, I just think I think he was originally a tenant in the area.
Yes.
And he's the only competent wooden boat builder in that particular area.
Yes.
Now, I have to move my boat at great expense to where he is because they're not allowing him to come into work on my boat. And my leasing agreement with them basically states that all they need to do is provide, what's the word I was looking for, workhead, insurance documentations, and you can pretty much have anybody work on your boat.
Well,
So can I clarify, Darren, you've bought an old wooden boat that needs restoring. You've moored it in a particular marina.
Absolutely,
You
yes.
want a particular boat builder to come and work on restoring your boat.
Yes,
He's had a blue with the marina and the marina won't let him in.
pretty much.
Okay.
Thank you for simplifying that.
And have you bought the marina right, or do you just rent there?
I rent there as a tenant.
Right. And does your lease say who you can and can't allow into the mooring?
No, it doesn't. It states that I can have anybody come in. Well, the boat itself is actually landlocked at the minute, so it's in dry dock.
Yes.
Because we've stripped it back and we're now putting it all back together.
Is it a Kuta boat, Darren?
No, it's an Indonesian sailing sloop.
Wow. Okay, that's different. Okay, David.
Darren, this isn't the space you've rented, is my initial reaction. You've rented a mooring space, and there might be a different set of rules that apply to the dry dock, which is presumably something that they make available to boat owners on an ad hoc basis. So you've done a deal with the marina owner that you can have berth number 27 or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got the right to put the boat in the water there and tether it there.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't give you the same rights, depending on what your lease says, to use the dry dock.
Okay, so I've always had the dry dock, so to speak. The space, I mean, for want of a better word, they call this area the graveyard.
Yes.
I know.
So
Believe me, John.
yours is in the resurrection stage, and there are lots of other boats that aren't. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
Yes.
And
What's it going to cost to move it, Darren?
about 4,000.
And what do you want to know if you can make the marina pay because they're excluding your tradie from working on your boat?
No, you'd
Absolutely.
rather have the tradie work on the boat at the marina, but
To be honest, yeah, I really don't. Look, it's a wooden Indonesian sailing sloop, so I don't
Darren,
really
your
want to
difficulty
move
is going to be you're going to have to go to VCAT to enforce your rights under the lease. You might not get those rights, and your lease might come to an end. Because it's unlikely that you will have great security of tenure issues.
No, definitely don't have that.
And so, okay, I'm the marina operator. I'm sorry if you don't want to play ball, Darren. Go away.
I don't know. How can they exclude someone from working in the marina? What's
I'd really like to know more, John.
Yeah.
I think Darren, in order for you to understand the marina operator's position, you really need to have a better grasp on the issue between the boat builder and the marina operator.
I do understand what the issue is between those two guys.
Yes.
It's very, very much so. The boat builder guy took the marina operator to VCAT because they were trying to, for want of a better word, make them pay for having the boats inside their workshop, pay the marina operator.
So you're the meat and the sandwich between those other two commercial forces, by the sound of it.
Exactly right.
Okay.
So those two commercial forces have already gone to VCAT.
Okay.
The boat builder's already won against the marina, and then now the marina's gone forward and kicked him out of the marina.
Okay. So, David,
which he's presumably done. Look, Darren, you're right. You're the meat in the sandwich, but I would have thought that your agreement with the marina operator would be heavily skewed toward the marina operator. You're unlikely to have the security of tenure that you would get under a normal tenancy arrangement, under the residential or retail ones that provide security. I think you've really got nowhere to go. I think it might well be that they're unreasonable, but go to VCAT, get an order, and then get notice, and you're not going to achieve what you want.
Darren, what's your boat worth?
John, I'm not willing to give out that information.
His wife might be listening.
Yes, indeed. And how much is?
It's a great. It's 16 metres long, John.
Okay, so it's a valuable boat, and the work being done on it is going to cost a lot of money. Sounds like
it has indeed.
David's advice might be that you've got a couple of extra $1,000 you hadn't budgeted for.
Yep. Sorry, Darren.
Thank you very much for your time.
Is that line, John? A boat is a hole in the water surrounded by wood into which you pour money.
Yes. Yep. Or you go, instead of getting a boat, just stand under the shower and tear up $100 bills.
Let's hope. Yeah,
Darren. If it was
moving forward though, it's going to be great for my wife and my children as
of course it will.
ahead.
If it was an old car and it was in a garage where they wouldn't let someone work on it, the principles would be exactly the same.
Yes.
Linton in Abbotsford. Morning to you, Linton. You're through to David.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Linton, what's the issue?
I'm sort of new to leasing in Melbourne from the Northern Territory, and I'm in a brand new apartment building in Abbotsford. There's lots of issues that have gone wrong from day dot when I moved in September last year. So now we're coming up to the 12-month mark, and everyone's wiping their hands of responsibility to get everything repaired. So the builders are close to their 12-month expiration of their 12-month warranty. The landlord is saying it's still within the 12 months, and the real estate agents are just trapped in the middle of it, and no one's sort of fixing anything or wanting to fix anything or repair.
Okay, what needs doing, Linton?
Well, the double glazing on the windows don't work, so there's a lot of mould starting to appear, a lot of water damage on the doors because they were never sealed properly and they're soaking up and expanding. There's spongy floors, there's broken taps, the showers are leaking. They've been fixed twice already, toilets are leaking. And this apartment building, is 10 months old.
Linton, let's divide this into two parts. There's those parts which affect your use and enjoyment of the property as a tenant.
Yep.
And you have the right to take the owner to VCAT for the repairs to be done.
Yep.
Right. Now, we talked to Darren about the possibility of notice to terminate the lease. Presumably, that's not going to happen to you. You can go to VCAT and say, I want an order that this money be used to pay these repairs. And it's quite likely that you would succeed in that. Then there will be a list of other issues that the landlord has with the builder. And that's for the landlord to pursue under his building contract / purchase contract. They're not your issues. I mean, you might come along and say, well, the rent should be a little bit less because the windows aren't double glazed, whereas they're supposed to be. But that might...
No, it sounds like they are double glazed, but you're getting mould, was what you said, Linton.
Yeah, they're not like... We wake up in the morning, and just from the body warmth of us in our apartment, like the apartment's almost foggy, and the windows, there's a 5 mil layer of water under all the windows.
Yeah, you never get that in Darwin, do you?
No, only in December when the monsoon's in.
Yeah, only in the build-up, yeah. So Linton's rights are to, if necessary...
It's VCAT for an order for repairs.
Under the Residential Tenancies Act. Linton, there's the Tenants Union that provides advice, or you can go online to the Law Handbook online, which has a whole chapter on tenancy and what your rights are, and you can access that free. It's published by Fitzroy Legal Service as a book and as a website, if you need to learn more. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Linton.
Good on you. BOAT, B-O-A-T,
Yes.
stands for Bring On Another 1,000.
Okay.
The biggest difficulty owning a boat in Australia is not buying it, but finding somewhere to park it.
Yes.
Yeah, all of that's true. And about the argument I had with a young lawyer about wearing wigs, you're assuming because someone's young that they're not capable of being just as pompous as an older person, which is absolutely spot on. Brett in Gippsland. Hiya, Brett. Welcome. You're through to David.
Thanks, John. Good morning, David. My query is regarding our obligation to complete a form on behalf of a past employee. We received a letter from a lawyer acting on behalf of this past employee of ours requesting us to complete, actually 2 letters requesting us to complete 2 forms from their super funds for a claim for total and permanent disability.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering how obliged we are to complete those forms.
What do they ask you for?
It's 5 pages of lots of little bits of information about, how much time spent sitting and standing and kneeling and crawling and carrying different weights and when they started, when they completed, all details of employment. I mean, there's a lot of information. It would take quite some time to fill it out.
I don't believe you're required to fill them out.
Okay.
Huh?
Yep.
It's in connection. It's not really in connection with the employment, or maybe it is. I mean, they're making a claim under the insurance policy attached to their super fund, are they?
That's what I believe, yes.
Okay, and they need this information. No, I don't believe you're obliged to perform it.
Yeah, the forms actually came from a lawyer acting on behalf of, and it's one of those no win, no pay
fee,
or whatever.
yes.
Yeah, no fee. We've already gone through a work cover claim with this person who made a lot of claims that we strongly disagreed with, and a lot of it was thrown out. I mean,
so there's no love lost?
No, that's right, yeah.
Yes. I don't believe you're obliged to fill it out, Linton.
Okay, great.
All right.
Good on you. Pat and Bendigo. Morning to you, Pat.
Oh, good morning, John and David. I do some advocating on behalf of psychiatric patients, and as you would know, thousands of them are admitted to hospitals, both public and private, every year. And currently there's no responsibility. There's every responsibility on admission for the staff to remove dangerous or potentially dangerous items from the patient.
Yes.
Everybody gets that. Everybody loves not a problem there. Nobody gives you a receipt for the property that they take off you. I've been bluffing after listening to David Whiting and John for years, and I say things
we're
like,
good at bluff, Pat. We teach bluff.
I had a wig on at the time, John. So
Very good. Very good.
I was saying things like, legally you cannot take personal items off people without giving them a receipt, and you have a duty of care to return them on discharge, which, doesn't always happen.
Pat, it's a hard call. Right? You're admitted to a psych hospital. There is no... how do you take any... Do you want to video everything at the time of admission?
No, the nurses simply have to check your bags.
No, I understand what they do, and they take out the things
all I'm asking for is a receipt, because you actually understand the patient's situation. Often they have no memory of what they take into hospital.
Yes.
And it can be weeks later that they go to their ensuite and say, oh, that big bottle of hairspray
is not there anymore. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. But then they don't remember where and when they lost it. So, look, Pat, what you might do is deal with the Health Services Commissioner and see whether a protocol could be developed by psych hospitals for properly recording bits and pieces that were brought into a hospital by a psych patient.
I think all hospitals now have to have an internal complaints person first, though, so that would be your first port of call, wouldn't it?
If in terms of, but Pat's was more general.
Okay.
Pat's was in terms of psych hospitals everywhere. Why
Right,
would there not
coming up
be
with new guidelines or
Why would
something.
there not be a protocol for how do I record
Yep.
what I bring in so I can give it back?
Fair enough, fair enough. Apparently it was Kerry Packer who said the 2 best days owning a boat, the day you buy it and the day you sell it.
Okay.
You like that one?
Yes.
Yeah, and a bit more feedback. Your continued slagging off of barristers and senior lawyers is childish. Let it go. John. Not you, me.
Oh, okay.
I didn't think I was being childish, but there you go. Mary in Mornington. Morning to you, Mary. You're through to David Whiting.
Good morning, John, and good morning, David.
Good morning.
My question is regarding a will. Can we put a UK asset on a will drawn up in Australia?
Yes.
Oh, I'm surprised. That's fantastic.
No, that's the short answer, because your will normally deals with your property wherever it happens to be.
Okay,
What you might consider is getting some tax advice,
right.
because you're likely to be paying some duty in the UK,
Yes,
and it would be possible for you to prepare a will that deals with your assets in Australia,
yes.
and another will that deals with your assets outside Australia.
So that you don't end up paying,
So
a
you-
foreign residence tax of
Yeah.
some kind.
So you don't end up declaring to the UK tax authorities all your assets,
Yes.
just the ones in the UK.
Oh, okay. So they don't need to know and therefore charge a death duties on things that aren't within their jurisdiction.
Duty is normally probate duties, and we don't have them here, but probate duties are normally based on the residence of the deceased.
Right.
And if the only assets that you need to declare in the UK are UK-based assets,
Yes,
then in theory at least they don't need to know what else you've got.
right. Understood.
Right? But yes, the simple question is you can deal in a will with all of your assets.
That's fantastic. And just a very quick question. What's your opinion of the DIY wills? The ones, the ones you can buy in the newsagent. Are they legally binding when it comes to it?
If they are filled out properly, they work perfectly.
Fantastic.
But there's a whole lot of people who, you want to deal, if you simply went and bought one and filled it out properly and dealt with your UK assets, it would work a treat. If you want to use a do-it-yourself will to deal with UK assets separately from assets elsewhere, I really wouldn't.
No.
All right?
Thank you.
I mean, are we talking about real estate, Mary?
Yes, we're talking about a house and maybe some money at the end if there's any left.
Okay, and ballparks, the value of that house?
Not enormous, very average.
Is it in a metropolitan area?
It's outside Stratford-on-Avon.
Okay, so hundreds of thousands
Yes,
of pounds.
yes,
So
yes.
why would you not invest a fraction of what it's worth to make sure that you're crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and everything is going to go according to plan, rather than trying to save a couple of $100 buying something over the counter at the post office that lacks any precision or individual tailored advice and might not work the way you want it to?
No, absolutely.
If you were talking about, a car over there that was worth a couple of £1,000s, that might be different.
Yes.
Mary, I could go and buy a sewing machine and a bolt of cloth and make a suit, but gee, it would look horrible. Okay.
Point taken.
A false economy, Mary.
I know, and I won't do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
indeed.
Mary.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Sarah in Balaclava. Good morning to you, Sarah.
Good morning, man. I have an ex-husband problem.
Yes, you're not alone there.
Yes.
That's very nicely put too, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
We've been separated for 10 years and very happily divorced for 2. We have children, and in the course of the divorce got the child agreement organised.
So what you've done is you've entered into a child support agreement outside the formula?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and when does it last till?
Until the children are 18.
Yes.
My son already has passed that milestone, and my daughter has about 364 days to go.
Yes.
At the time, he fought strenuously to say that it was a 50-50 custody issue,
Yep.
which I knew it wasn't and never would be, but that's what it ended up being in the contract.
Yes.
Now, from probably 3 months into that contract, my daughter has not been back to her father's house. I have sole care and custody of her. Everyone's very happy with that, except my
Including him.
finance.
Sarah, you're not going to get it's once you've locked into a deal, the assumption that that's it. It is possible to go back, but you're not going to get arrears, and you're going to spend more on arguing the point.
Oh, I know that now.
And you'll get to court 190 days into your 364 days, and your situation will simply be worse.
Sarah, do your kids talk to their father?
My son has no problem at all, and my daughter, it's topsy-turvy at best.
So rather than going and paying lawyers thousands of dollars to go to court for thousands of dollars to try and squeeze a few $1,000s out of him, and I don't know, the kids should say, hey, Dad, we need some money.
Yeah, they do. And the answers always go to your mum.
Oh, well, what minimum going to through child support or going to the family court,
well, no,
the circuit court?
That's what I asked up front, John. She's not on a formula.
Yeah.
She's on an agreement that says the formula won't apply to our relationship.
So to change
we'll
the
do
agreement,
this instead. You've got to go back to court.
So costs in doing that to go to court for 1 year's worth of varied support will be more than the amount that you're likely to get, won't it?
My guess would be, that would be my assumption from the way that Sarah's talking.
Okay, so
and the way we finally got divorced, that was an 8-year proceeding. So
8 years, well done.
Yeah,
so
my solicitor's happily in Europe.
So a day or two in just to get a hearing in the circuit court these days, ballpark's what, $5,000?
I would have thought if you were lucky. I mean, look, yes, you'll get there for that, but you want to do something when you're there. Sarah, I wouldn't spend the money.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but I thought I'd be hopeful.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And hence the call yet again yesterday, David. Rosie Batty was saying that the money that's, for instance, it was Rosie Batty yesterday saying the money that is being proposed to be spent on a postal vote or plebiscite on same-sex marriage, which is estimated to be around $150 or more million, could be put into improving the family court and family law system and would affect far more people in a far more profound way.
Yeah, I mean, what you're really doing, I look at the marriage issue and you say it's really, you don't have to do it. Why are you stopping someone else do it?
Oh, same-sex marriage?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah. But the dysfunction in the family court or the systems for people to resolve disputes like Sarah's,
yes,
it's not a one-stop shop anymore. It's not simple and accessible. It's not cheap and quick. It's simply
it's none of those things.
It's not doing any of the things it was set up to do.
I had someone who was in Sarah's position a little while ago, and there was an argument that we had to pay the other side's costs to run the action. And they wanted, they were going to court to say we needed, and our argument was we had no money. They were saying you've got to put $75,000 in trust to run the argument.
$75,000
was their estimate, yes.
Up front?
No, well, you know, when you have a plaintiff who's got no money, the defendant goes along and says,
security for costs.
I want security. I want to make sure that if I have to spend money on my lawyers because you're dragging me along, I want to get paid. I want my costs to be paid because I think you're going to be unsuccessful. An order for $75,000 was sought. I don't know where it ended up.
Can we squeeze in a couple more after the news headlines? David Whiting, our talkback lawyer, helping you, but Steph Anderson's got the headlines first. Apologies for running late and good morning to you again, Steph. 24 minutes to 11. David Whiting, our talkback lawyer, helping you with free legal advice. 1300 222 774. Actually, I shouldn't solicit more calls because we've got a few there for the solicitor and we are running already late. The open line coming up shortly, and I just do want to mention after 11 o'clock on the conversation hour today, each year Melbourne has very successfully run something called Open House Weekend. Hundreds of public buildings, whether it's the Parliament or the courts or the sewerage headquarters or all sorts of buildings, the tramways, original stables and the like, they get opened up for the public to go tramping through just one weekend a year, and it's coming up this weekend. And you're going to learn about it along with some other architects coming in who are doing fabulous things both from here and overseas. It's an architecture conversation hour on the conversation hour today. Damien in Keilor's been waiting patiently through the news headlines to talk to you, David, and good morning to you, Damien.
Good morning, and thank you for taking my call. I'm involved in a proposed property development where the company wants me to deposit a refundable amount of money into their trust account.
So you're involved in a property development. What do you mean, Damien? Damien?
Involved in a proposed property.
Sorry, as an investor?
Yes.
Not as a buyer?
Well...
See, if you are buying a unit off a plan,
yeah,
then the law actually says the money needs to be paid into a lawyer's, conveyancer's or estate agent's trust account.
Right.
No choices, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you're getting together with a group of mates and you're going to do a unit development, and at the end of the day you'll each take a unit as part of your deal, then that would be logical. Well, there were a couple of reported cases where that actually worked out very badly for some people in the last 12 months or so, Damien.
No kidding.
But you need to make sure all the money's there.
Damien, I've got a different issue. If you're involved as a property developer, why would you get legal advice over talkback radio?
I'm not a property developer. I'm probably involved as an investor.
Well, even still.
So you're putting a couple of $100,000 into an investment based on a phone call?
No.
With someone who hasn't seen any of the documents?
No, these are funds to actually get into the project. It'll then be refundable after that.
How do you know unless you see the documents? And then this is the whole point. Damien, David is a very experienced commercial lawyer of many years standing, and I'm sure the first advice you would give anyone, David, is to approach that kind of a project with great caution rather than getting your legal advice over the phone with someone who hasn't seen the documents.
My issue, John, is that with everything that you go into, what's the exit strategy? How do I know I'm going to get out of this? So, I think, Damien, how much is the refundable deposit?
It's $7,000.
Well, that's the problem, is for $7,000. If you're prepared to punt it, go for it, Damien. But remember...
Can you afford to lose that much, Damien?
Nobody can afford to lose that much.
Then, Damien, what you do is you ask the developer for a 2 or 3 page summary.
I mean, it sounds more like a scam than anything to me, Damien. I think it sounds like a great idea. Here, give me $7,000 and I'll refund it to you, but I haven't got any documents. There's no contracts. There's nothing written down. There's nothing to do with lawyers. And goodbye $7,000.
So if my suggestion is a 2 or 3 page summary, go and talk to a lawyer and say, does this work? If it happens the way it is in the summary. And chances are there will be so many risk factors in your way that it will be a punt. And if you're willing to take the punt, then go for it. But look at it as an entirely speculative exercise, not an investment.
Damien, I've got a bridge in Sydney I'll sell you for $7,000.
Yeah. Okay, I got your point.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, it's either real or it's not. If it's real, then it's got to be structured and documented properly. Surely, David, this is...
Yes, but John, there's probably 20 people at $7,000 each.
Exactly, probably 50 even.
So, and, someone's trying to get together seed capital to do a property deal.
Yeah, well, then they've got to do it according to law.
Yeah, okay. So, Damien, why don't you go and talk to some of the investors and share the advice?
Yes.
All right?
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Damien.
And when's he get out on parole? Yeah, right. Okay, you've got my drift,
We're
Damien.
ruining your day, Damien. Sorry.
And the other one, David, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true.
Yes.
We're guaranteeing you, 12% compound returns, or we guarantee you a 50% capital gain in 2 years. And, well, how do you guarantee it? It's like when people sell you something and say it's got a lifetime guarantee, and you say, whose lifetime?
Well,
yours or mine?
I always worry about residential properties sold on a guaranteed rental return from a company that doesn't actually have any value until the development's finished, and then the bank might take it all anyway.
And then it disappears, and you go to claim on your so-called 2-year rental guarantee, and there's no one there to claim from.
Yeah, we'll join the queue.
Like extended warranty insurances, where there's no company there to claim the warranty from 5 years from now because it's disappeared.
Yes, well, I went and looked at a ticket warranty the other day and decided it really wasn't worth the money.
Yeah.
Yes.
And these are great ways of separating people from their money, and then there's nothing there later on in the event that they make a claim.
Yep.
Oh, I think we did spoil Damien's day. Now, look, I'm going to be going away.
Oh.
No, I'm not going to be going away. I'm going away.
Oh, excellent.
I'm going away.
Yes.
Where?
Well, just somewhere.
Tell you later.
Somewhere, yeah.
But I won't be here for a while, so Raffy will be looking after you next Tuesday.
Excellent. He was,
and for a few weeks after that.
Now was he doing the shift on the shuffle Thursday?
Yes, we were swapped.
So you practiced, did you?
Yeah. We thought we'd give him just a bit of a limbering up.
Okay, all right.
What did you think?
I heard you, John. I didn't hear him. So
right.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
I thought Gerard Whateley doing politics was excellent. Yes. Excellent.
Oh, dear. I was astonished just finally, and we do have to move on, get a wriggle on. I was astonished at how many people said, how come you can be so grumpy in the mornings and be apparently so charming in the afternoon?
I thought you were just as grumpy, John.
I knew you wouldn't disappoint me. Thank you, David. Oh, dear. Have a fabulous August. David Whiting, our talkback lawyer, helping you with free legal advice.